This podcast contains explicit language.
This episode of Two Fat Guys Talk Games is pretty bad. It is a cautionary tale on why you should always plan a topic in advance. Anywho, if you have 40 minutes with nothing better to do, enjoy. Otherwise, don't listen to this. It's horrible. And David's dead.
Again.
I'm here.
Excellent. Alright, this is Carlos.
And this is Dave.
Two Fat Guys Talk Games and Friends.
Woo!
We have two friends with us today, Kiki and Poe.
I'm a girl.
Richie is busy fighting bird flu in fourth world countries and will not be joining us today.
Damn, he's hardcore.
He is fucking hardcore. You know what else is hardcore? The gaming crossover. Since the dawn of time, man has yearned to cross over his favorite characters. The Jetsons meet the Flintstones. Horrible fucking movie. Let's talk about games.
Yeah.
Well,
You don't know
if we're gonna
if
talk
I will
horrible
kill the
games,
crap
you gotta
out of
start
Oh,
anyway.
but my god, there's four people talking at once.
We all know Brad Flintstone would destroy the crap out of George Jetson.
What? George Jetson has nuclear arms in his pocket.
What if it was one-on-one? Fred Flintstone would totally beat the shit out of him with his brute strength.
His barbarian strength.
But George Jetson could have one of his space guns with him. You don't know that.
Actually, there was a Flintstones Jetsons crossover in video games. In one Flintstones game, where you played as Fred Flintstone, one of the levels was in the future, and you were helped by George Jetson.
Did he have a space gun?
No, he did not have a space gun. But I
And
recall some
what
of the
good
enemies
was
did.
he?
Well, I recall some of the enemies had space guns, and Fred beat them with his brute barbarian strength.
That's ridiculous. Why wouldn't George Jetson have some sort of space equipment? He was in future.
Because people in that future were pussies.
Clearly,
They were
like
pussies. There were so many jokes on the Jetsons about how, like, George was like, these 3-day work weeks are killer, or these 3-hour work days are just tearing me apart.
Or this one Harvey Birdman bit where it was like, man, I had to push 3 buttons today. That's basically a slave driver.
Did Harvey Birdman beat the shit out of him or something?
No, George Jetson tried to sue the past for fucking up the future.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Only in the United States.
Yes. I think we need to sue Hitler or something for fucking up our corn.
I don't
On to
think
gaming.
Hitler had anything to do with our corn.
Didn't he?
Oh, but going back to the video game topic, Harvey Birdman had some for PSP had some Capcom characters in it.
Dial was in the audience.
There was a Harvey Birdman game?
It was made
Yeah,
by
it
the
was
guys
like a
who made
Phoenix
the Ace
Wright
Attorney
type
games.
of game.
Oh, again. It was made by the dudes that made the Ace Attorney games.
Gotcha.
So it was like Phoenix Wright, but Harvey Birdman and comedic. But Stephen Colbert did not lend his voice to his boss, because I guess they didn't want to pay for his license or likeness or whatever.
Son of a bitch.
I can think of a first-person shooter crossover. Quake 3 Arena had Doom Guy in it.
Oh, yeah, Officiate was there, but I mean, not really a fair game to bring up, though, because you could import sprites.
Dave, you're being
David, you're
dragged away
going again.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You heard you that time.
Holy crap.
This is Dave from Spain.
You're killing Kiki.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm cool.
So Quake 3 Arena had Doom Guy in it.
Yes,
But
the
I'm
sex
racking
one.
my brain trying to think of the very first gaming crossover ever, and I can't think of one.
What about Kirby Superstar? They had a whole bunch of references from other games. Like, remember
Yeah, but those are only references. They didn't actually have any, like, say, playable characters, though. But you are on the right track, yes.
they still had stuff, or even Kirby's Dream Line 3 weren't there Metroids in there?
That's right.
Yeah, one of
Kirby had to
those
fight
stages
Metroids
in
a
Kirby's
level.
Dream Line 3, you had to, in order to get the Power Star, from that stage you had to get an ice ability and freeze the Metroid. Then Samus would give you the star.
Wasn't there a Metroid that Pit had to kill in the first Kid Icarus?
I
Anyone here
think so.
play the first Kid Icarus?
The dorky one?
That's right.
I think so. I'm not too sure, though.
I've never played it.
David would know.
Yeah, I was about to say, when nobody's played a game, Dave's played it. Dave, tell us about the first Kid Icarus and the Metroid in it.
Oh no, he's dead.
We murdered him.
We must press on.
Dave would want us
press on. I think it's like the earliest known instance that a lot of people can record of a crossover concept is like Akuma appearing in X-Men Children of the Atom.
He was in that game. And they literally copied and pasted him from Super Turbo, so he looked awful. He was like shorter than everyone else.
I heard he was like one of the broken characters there.
Oh, he was broken as shit, but he looked bad. He looked way out of place, just like 8-Bit Simon in Castlevania Harmony of Despair. Dave is reporting from space. Dave, does your perspective from Moonbase Alpha give you insight into the gaming crossover?
Alex Kidd and Shinobi.
Ah, yes. For those of us who didn't hear that, hopefully we'll cut that out in editing. Alex Kidd in Shinobi World.
Really?
What?
Yes. Alex Kidd had to be in Shinobi's world and fight various Shinobi enemies in a ninja outfit.
Like Joe Musashi?
Yes.
That
the
Shinobi?
World. Yes. Sega Shinobi.
Oh, damn.
I don't know what to say to that.
Speaking of gaming crossovers with Sega, I went to watch the Hunger Games the other day. It was okay. And I saw a machine at the arcade there I never saw called Sega Golden Gun. And it had these two original college students fighting House of the Dead zombies, and it had like a dude from Romance of the Three Kingdoms and some other dudes from random Sega games. It was bizarre.
I should look that game up. That sounds awesome.
Sega Golden
It almost
Gun.
has grounds for Sonic to appear as a secret character. But then again, Sonic with a gun sounds like it'd be a bad idea, like Sonic with a sword. Or that's what they did with Shadow.
Yeah, we've had Sonic with a gun. That game didn't suck because they gave him a gun. That game sucked because it sucked. We need our other fat guy. I feel naked.
Kinda.
Kind of. You sound like you're coming from space, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Back on the track.
Oh, wait, hang on. Dave, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, but very low and kind of tinny.
How about now?
Now, I can hear you clearly, but it sounds like you're on a bus.
Okay, now?
No, I can still hear you, but there's still some background noise going on. And that's okay, I could probably eliminate that.
Poor David.
Okay, how about now?
Perfect!
Okay.
Yes,
Better than before.
that sounds good.
Okay, there we go.
Couple games I'm surprised you didn't think of right off the bat, Carlos. How about Breath of Fire with Chun-Li?
Oh yeah, that's right. Breath of Fire had Chun-Li in it.
It did?
And even
Where?
Yes.
She was in the first game. You could see her training in some secret event. And it was weird because Square Enix published the first Breath of Fire in North America. So people were wondering what the hell Chun-Li was doing in a Square game.
Or how about Airgates?
Yeah, Airgates had the Final Fantasy guest characters. So that's an obvious crossover. Breath of Fire itself crosses over with itself. Like, there are secret characters from other Breath of Fire games in the Breath of Fires. But that could also be more the persistent world thing going on.
Well, then that's like Disgaea, because Disgaea has its own characters within its other sequels.
Yeah, they all just come out of nowhere, bust through the walls, and just say, "Hey, what's going on? I'm here. Here's what's going to happen." Including one of the most prominent characters in the Disgaea universe, Asagi, the character who keeps getting screwed out of being the main character, because she was originally supposed to be in a game that got cancelled, but then it got redid and gave it to a different main character. And so Asagi sort of got tossed around in the loop multiple times, being shafted out of being the main character.
Didn't she appear as a boss?
Sometimes, but it's more out of spite because she's trying to take over being the main character in the other games.
Okay.
Most surprising crossover. Go, Dave.
Well, other than the obvious ones. I mean, there were a lot of references in things like World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
The equipment for the 3 Vikings.
Yeah, that's right. The Lost Vikings were there. There was a Link
Yeah.
reference. There's a Final Fantasy VI reference. There are tons of Easter eggs and references to other games. Maybe let's make this about crossovers and cameos.
Yeah, that's probably
sounds a bit
for the
more
best.
broad.
Yeah, that sounds more open.
Go ahead, Dave. Sorry for interrupting you.
Well, in Rock and Roll Racing, Olaf from the Lost Vikings actually does make an appearance.
That's excellent.
I don't know
Okay.
what game that is.
Rock and Roll Racing was a Blizzard-made racing game. It was released on PC. It's kind of a Mario Kart-esque game. Did Blizzard release it on consoles, too?
Yes.
That's right. Blizzard
I remember
used to
it
make console
was
games.
a game for the SNES.
How
Go
about
ahead.
things like Lenneth from Valkyrie Profile showing up in Star Ocean?
Yes. Tri-Ace likes to do their crossovers with Tri-Ace characters being super bosses in other Tri-Ace games.
Mighty Bomb Jack being in Tecmo Super Bowl.
Who the hell is Mighty Bomb Jack? Is he the guy making this noise on the podcast? Apollo?
Hey. I don't know, maybe he just wants revenge.
Dave, who's Mighty Bomb Jack?
Games like... The problem is there's so many games that were made to be crossovers. Things like Cross Edge, RPG, Battletoads and Double Dragon.
Awesome crossover. And sensical crossover, I might add. That game was the shit. The intro scene was literally the Battletoads discovered that the Shadow Boss and the Black Queen were working together, so they literally radioed the Double Dragons, and the Double Dragons were like, "Yo, Toads, come pick us up at City Hall." And they did. And then they jumped on the evil battleship. It was boss as shit.
This is a thing?
This is a
Yes.
Battletoads Double Dragon. And it was significantly easier than regular Battletoads.
God.
Anything.
Anything would be easier than regular Battletoads.
It kind of sucked that Billy and Jimmy were basically the same character, and all 3 Battletoads were the same character. But it was cool to be able to play as them side by side. It was definitely more of a Battletoads game with Double Dragon characters in it, but it was significantly easier. Like, every Battletoads-esque segment, like the speeder bikes, was much more accessible.
Enjoyable.
And there was a lot more side-scrolling beat-em-up, which the original Battletoads kind of promised to be in the first stage, and then wasn't for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit of a tease.
Speaking of cameo characters, did you guys know that in the Wii version of the SSX On Tour, Mario, Luigi, and Peach were playable characters?
I
They were-
kind of knew that.
They were also playable characters in one of the NBA Streets for GameCube. It was Nintendo's way of making it up to them in lieu of online play or something like that.
Wasn't there
Wow.
also a Dance Dance Revolution they were in?
Yeah, there was a specific Dance Dance Revolution Mario mix. And oddly enough, Waluigi was the villain, not Bowser.
Of course he's going to be the dance villain. He has got such smooth moves. You know, Mario's been a lot of crossovers. Mario Hoops has Final Fantasy crossover characters in it, because they're developed by Square.
Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
That's the elephant in the room. Mario and Sonic have been in many games together now. None of them a real game.
Yep.
What about Brawl? That's kind of a real game.
Brawl is not a real game. Let's be real with ourselves.
If the creator won't allow it to be fighting tournament playable, then it's not a real game.
So, I think they could do, and I would like Nintendo to do this over Sega, but I would like some other company to do it over either. I think they could easily do a Mario Sonic crossover platformer. They could make it a speedy game, because a lot of people forget, he stole his little blurred leg running thing from Mario 3, because that's where it originated. You run fast enough with Mario, he starts doing the blur leg thing, and he goes pretty fast. He could run around loop-de-loops, no problem.
Did Sonic 1 come after Mario 3?
Correct.
Yeah,
yes.
Mario 3 was an NES game, and Genesis came out around the same time as Super Nintendo.
No, that's not true. The Genesis came out like a year before. Sonic was
Really?
91. Mario 3 was 90 or 89. Dave, you've told us about your surprising crossovers, but what about Poe and Kiki? What are your most surprising crossovers you never thought you'd see?
Well, the Dynasty Warriors Gundam series would be a big-ass crossover, combining all many Gundam universes, like the Universal Century, Cosmic Era.
There have been games that combine the various Gundam universes with other mech universes even, like Super Robot Wars or Robot Battle, whatever it's called.
Yeah, the Super Robot Wars is a pretty big one, especially since you can combine like certain characters like Bright Noah from the Gundam series, giving a pep talk to Shinji Ikari from Evangelion, and turning him into a man.
That is beyond his skills. Marcus Phoenix needs to talk to Shinji Ikari.
I think he'd make him cry.
Good.
That's a good thing.
Well, everything makes Shinji cry.
Well, maybe first series Shinji. We don't know about the second one.
He's a little more manly.
A bit.
A bit. Kiki, most surprising crossover.
Probably when the first time I heard that Kingdom Hearts was announced, like I know the whole premise of that game is that it's this huge Disney Square crossover. But the first time I heard that, I was just like, what? Disney? What? But then I was just like, that's freaking awesome!
You totally stole mine. I was going to say that.
But that was just for the first game. I don't know about the second one.
Well, it's not surprising anymore, because you know what's going to happen. I was also very surprised at Kingdom Hearts. I'm like, Square Enix developed action RPG, where your main character is flanked by Donald and Goofy, and you visit Disney Worlds. That was out of left field. Do you know Donald was supposed to be the Keyblade Master? That's what Disney wanted. And then Square wanted Mickey, because Square has no idea what it's doing. And then they came to a consensus and made Sora.
But
then they gave Donald a more prominent role than Mickey, so I guess Disney won a little bit.
Yeah, but he's still a big sidekick. And Mickey is still more important in the overall grand scheme of things.
Yeah, but fuck Mickey.
Agreed. Fuck that douche. I like how in that SNL skit about the Disney Vault, Mickey was trying to justify Walt Disney being a total racist. And he's like, he was what he was. I mean, he made me, and I've made you laugh over the years, right? And these two kids are like, you're supposed to be funny?
Yeah.
true.
You thought you were just a dick all this time.
He's like the least interesting Disney character ever. He's funny in House of Mouse because he's an asshole. They needed to make him an asshole to make him interesting.
And that's why they made Donald, so that way they could have a character who's not perfect like Mickey.
He was your role model, wasn't he? Mickey, Carlos. Yeah, definitely the role model.
Indeed. He gets his asshole ways from me. So Dave, before we moved over to Poa and Kiki, you were about to say something and move on to new crossover territory.
It's been all over. Everything from anime to cartoons. You have the obvious fighting game
Anime
crossovers.
is cartoons. Sorry.
Well, you've had cartoon characters in games, and you've had anime characters in games.
You mean cartoon characters.
I'm not getting into this argument with you right now, you bastard.
I was gonna also mention, like, there was, what's it called? Like the Sonic characters in Phantasy Star, or like the little Tails Chow in that game as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
Sega likes to use crossovers. I was gonna mention Fuma from Japanese-only Getsu Fumaden in Castlevania Harmony of Despair. That's technically a crossover, since they're not in the same universe.
I think a really obviously popular one at this time is the whole Street Fighter cross Tekken. But I remember when that was first announced, I was quite surprised. But then after, I was just like, well, it kind of makes sense. People have been talking about those two big fighters for quite some time, like if they were in a game and whatnot. So I guess that was kind of overdue.
Fighting game crossovers are fun because it's fun to see these differing mechanics kind of gel. You know, because fighting games are all kind of the same concept, and it's cool to see how they're going to translate in each other's universes.
Like the SRK and Street Fighter and stuff?
SNK, yeah, with the SNK and Capcom crossover games.
Mortal Kombat versus DC?
Yes, there's that one as well. Although, for that one, and that's a good example of it, that's a Mortal Kombat game with DC characters plugged in. And Capcom vs. SNK was a Street Fighter game with SNK characters plugged in. And even Street Fighter Cross Tekken plays more like a Capcom-made Street Fighter than a Namco-made Tekken, although Namco is going to make their own version of it.
Hopefully without gems.
Hopefully without gems, that would be a good thing.
Well,
Knowing me, they might do something like put in the rage meter. No, like the rage mechanic.
yeah, but
you
they
know,
don't have
hopefully-
anything else besides 1 meter, so...
I honestly don't see the problem with 1 meter. Simplicity is great.
Well, that's
But-
why I'm saying they're probably not going to have anything else to it, which is fine.
Didn't Harada say that the Street Fighter characters are going to control with 6 buttons? I think he did too. How are they going to control in Tekken with 6 buttons?
I think they said for the Tekken characters, they stick to their 4-button scheme.
Yeah, but here's the thing about Tekken. In Tekken, there are no button strengths. There's left and right punch, left and right kick, and the combination of these moves combine to make your various moves. There's no generic light, medium, heavy thing going on, like there is in Street Fighter and other games of the like. So how does that work with them having 6 buttons? Are they going to have light, medium, heavy? And how is that going to translate into Tekken?
Well, I figured theirs is going to be more of a 3D game versus a 2D.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you played the Soul Calibur games, Dave, you know this well. There's no light, medium, heavy going on. Like, a horizontal slash from character A might be a heavy move, and character B, it might be light.
Yeah.
Even in Guilty Gear, they didn't have a lot of that going on. There was punch, kick, slash, and heavy slash, but sometimes punch moves produced a heavy hit, and various other things.
It's going to be interesting to see how they pull it off. If they pull it off. They said they want to, but I haven't heard of any development actually taking place yet, so...
Harada did show a very bad early model of Ryu. It looked horrible. And they showed a model of Heihachi doing a Shoryuken, and it looked horrible.
They might just scrap it all
Namco.
together.
They might scrap it if they're like, shit, Capcom really fucked up that other one. We're just gonna distance ourselves. Listen, you released that DLC, quote unquote. We're just gonna go over here, focus on our Soul Calibur.
Harada did say that he doesn't want to do he doesn't want to do with DLC and all that stuff. He's like, he doesn't believe in that shit.
That's the thing. I think Harada's a bit of a douche because he hated the Hollywood Tekken movie, but loved his garbage Blood Vengeance. I love you, Spoonie. But
come on, the panda!
But the thing...
High school girls!
The panda and schoolgirls. Kuma wasn't even in that movie, and Panda was just a pallid swap of him. Anywho, the thing about Harada is that he basically let Capcom do whatever they want. And then he saw the end result and he's like, oh, Jesus. Fucking
Gems? What the fuck?
What did I let you do?
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Oh, Futurama references. Other Fat Man, what do you think of us talking about crossovers we'd like to see?
Fire away.
Okay, I guess I'll start this one off. You know what I would like to see? I would like to see Dynasty Warriors Gundam, or just a Gundam game, crossover with Halo, and Gears of War, and Street Fighter, in a persistent world where it's all seamless, and the effects of one game affects the others. I'll give you an example. Let's say in this persistent world, Ryu is fighting Ken, and throws a Hadouken, and Ken dodges it. It hits a pillar. That pillar falls into the battlefield Marcus Phoenix is taking cover in, producing more cover that he can hide in. And he better use that cover because the Flood has invaded. And you gotta be careful because these Gundams are just stepping all over the place as they fight other Gundams.
That sounds like carnage.
That sounds retarded.
I don't know, that sounds
Retardedly
pretty hectic.
amazing.
It sounds like it'd make a better movie than it does a game.
I think you're all incorrect.
Have you been writing fanfics again, Carlos?
Maybe.
Which is another form of crossover.
The thing is, there are games that do ideas like this. Like there's that MMO EVE Online, and then there's this shooter coming out, whose name I forget, something 41 something.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent research, Carlos. Where you get to play a squad-based shooter, and the effects of that game actually affect EVE.
I heard about that one, yeah.
Well, I always, from what I've read on that, it seems like more of a gimmick to keep people playing EVE, to be honest. I mean, let's face it, EVE is like a second job if you really want to get into it.
Yes.
Even more so than Final Fantasy XI, WoW, or all the MMOs all put together. EVE really does suck up your life because you've got to invest in knowing your stats, knowing a plan, working out a financial assistance with a guild, giving blowjobs for extra cash. it's a second job.
You can be a merchant in that game. Honest to goodness, you could play your whole life in that game as a shopkeeper.
Are you
But you better be able to, you better be willing to put the work into being that shopkeeper. And you might as well just do that in real life and earn real money.
Pretty much.
There's a real exchange rate between that currency and real money. Because I read about that one guild that provided the service in the game. They provided a bank, which the game didn't have at the time. And then after they had like millions of credits, they traded it all for real money and left everyone high and dry.
How much real money did they get?
Like
Lots.
6 figures? 7 figures? Those are a lot of money.
People have bought,
okay.
like, for $100,000 ships in that game.
Yes.
Why didn't we do that?
Why didn't we buy a ship in EVE Online?
No. Why?
Because I don't care.
No, I didn't need to buy a ship. I mean, why didn't we get money that way?
Because I didn't
'Cause it
think
takes
of it.
a lot
I
of
would have
time.
done it. It's a big commitment.
I
For a lot of money.
guess.
Hell, I still have some ideas in my head for how I could make money in Second Life, which is an MMO, which isn't really an MMO. But that could be a whole podcast in and of itself. Anywho, I talked about the crossover I want to see. Somebody else talk about theirs.
I got one that I sort of joke around with Richie and our other friend Marcus. Looney Tunes versus Cartoon Network. No, not Cartoon Network. Hanna-Barbara.
That is the best idea I've ever heard. A fighting game, right?
Yeah, because we talked about like characters being top tier, like the Roadrunner and Speed Gonzalez, how they're like practically like Chip Sanif in terms of speed and how fast they are and how fast they rack up combos. And we all know Shaggy and Scooby-Doo are really secretly ninjas who put up the cowardly, oh no, man, we gotta run. That's just a front because they're actually pretty badass.
And they always catch the bad guy.
We consider those guys top tier. And then we decide, then we go down the list, try to see who else is pretty good, like Foghorn Leghorn, Daffy
Top
Duck,
tier.
Droopy.
Foghorn Leghorn would be the boss, man. That
Well,
guy is
I thought
the
it would be
toppest of
Droopy
top
because he
tier.
has that power to screen shift.
Droopy does have that power to screen shift.
Or at the most, that'd be his level 3.
It would be his level 3. But the problem is that Foghorn Leghorn is stubborn and might not shift.
Oh yeah, because his long-winded rants could actually counter that move pretty well.
That's right. He's like, hey boy, you're trying to screen shift while I'm talking? Who taught you manners, son? Your mom teach you manners? Didn't teach you manners very
And
well.
that's when-
My mom taught me manners. I knew not to screen shift. Used to screen shift all the time. Got a good pounding.
And that's when Droopy DHCs to someone else.
Yes, you could DHC to Bugs Bunny's cross-dressing make you gay super. That's what he did in like 90% of his cartoons. He
Right?
That or
cross-dressed
Tom
made
and
Elmer
Jerry
Fudd gay.
duo team-up attack.
Tom and Jerry blow.
Tom and Jerry do blow. They are the Dan Hibiki of that theoretical game. And Dan is better than they are.
And the reason I say Tom and Jerry together is that you put them separate, they'll try to kill each other. Working together, they can overcome some odds, even though they'll still try to kill each other while they're trying to beat whatever else.
That's convincing.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. It's like,
When they're against each other, they try to kill each other. When together, they're mildly competent.
But then I go back to thinking about Foghorn Leghorn and Droopy and all that shit again, because they would nerf him easily.
Foghorn Leghorn would be ratio 4. You couldn't make a team with them. It would be him and Akuma. Because Capcom would make this, and they'd shove Akuma in there.
Or Ryu, one of those two.
It would be Akuma. Akuma's always the guest character. For some
Then again,
reason.
Akuma would probably single-handedly kill every single one of them, except
Not
for
Foghorn
Droopy.
Leghorn. You really
Okay,
think
Foghorn
Akuma could
Leghorn,
take him?
Droopy, and Scooby-Doo.
Akuma can't beat Foghorn Leghorn by himself. You really think he can take that chicken? He doesn't die.
he just doesn't quit.
He just keeps getting up. I think Akuma will get tired before Foghorn Leghorn finally kicks the bucket. And then he'll just peck Akuma to death or some shit.
Or beat him with what was that thing? That 4x4 or something?
Oh
Yeah, beat him with a
Grab
4x4.
a 2x4, just like he does to the dog, and just spank his ass and balls incessantly.
Yes, he used a 2x4, not a 4x4. He didn't wield a car.
I would imagine that would sting like hell. Like, my first reaction if I were the dog, I would be just chasing him going, roar, 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 roar. I'd be all, oh, my ball. Oh, why would you aim there?
Level 3 super. Alright. Who's next?
Crossovers that would be intriguing to see in a Mugen sort of way would be something along the lines of, I don't know, Transformers versus Sailor Moon versus My Little Pony. Why not?
Rainbow Dash is already top tier by that.
Do you realize how many fucking bronies out there would be like, oh, the pony's gonna win every time with friendship and magic?
There's already a My Little Pony fighting game. It's called My Little Pony Fighting is Magic.
Yeah, there's already a couple of Slam Jam mixes with that.
But why would you choose anything besides Rainbow Dash, to be quite honest?
Well, in a fighting game, it would be balanced. Rainbow Dash wouldn't always be the best character.
Well, yeah, in fighting games that had the Flash, he was balanced.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was, actually.
I heard he was broken.
In Mortal Kombat vs. DCU, I forget it was him or Green Lantern, but they were broken for reasons that have nothing to do with their powers. Like, I think Flash had a really good jab or some shit, and Green Lantern had a really good Ryu fireball, and that's why he was broken. It was so fucking stupid.
As far as an actual game, I wouldn't mind seeing, though. A Final Fantasy
Whoa, wait a minute. You would mind seeing Transformers versus My Little Pony versus Sailor Moon?
Speaking of games that could possibly happen.
I guess.
I'm just saying. You're just a big tease now.
I actually wouldn't mind some sort of strategic, like a game that you go between a strategy mode, much like, say, Command and Conquer or even Halo Wars, and then switch to a Gundam/shooter sort of mode. It would work for a game like G.I. Joe versus Transformers, for example.
Where one mode is the tactical strategy with the Joes, and then you could seamlessly switch to Optimus Prime, who has to take care of big shit.
Exactly. Something along the lines of the strategy mode from, say, Brutal Legend, which I know a lot of people hated, but fuck them.
I was going to say Brutal Legend was the first thing that came to mind when you named that idea.
Yeah. Take that idea, but now let's put it to the Transformers and G.I. Joe. We used to have a comic book on that and everything else. It would be something that I could see working because they've done something with it before.
Oh yeah, there was a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover. There was also X-Men Star Trek crossover, and I think Kirk hit on Jean Grey. Kiki, you're up.
I didn't really put much thought as to which crossover I would like to see.
It's okay, none of us put any thought into this whole podcast.
What I just thought of right now, just sitting here, I'm kind of surprised. I don't know if any of you remember that really bad anime, Escaflowne. I'm surprised there hasn't been a Gundam of it.
I think Escaflowne was in one of the Robot Wars games at some point. It was a mecha.
He was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go on.
I would like to see a better crossover of Final Fantasy. Like, I know we had Dissidia, and I thought the concept was cool. I couldn't play the game worth a damn.
Would you like to see an RPG crossover?
Yes.
Where, like, Sephiroth invades the FF6 world and kidnaps one of the special orphans, and Terra has to chase him down, and that leads to her meeting Cloud, which leads to the rest of whatever the fuck happens.
Carlos, why would Sephiroth go into Final Fantasy VI if that's the same game?
I'm desperate to have them have a sword fight. They made Terra a Pris. I want her to be a swordsman and fight with Sephiroth.
Or, like, maybe kind of Kingdom Hearts-ish where they have to go through each fantasy world? I don't know. Or just maybe all the worlds kind of mishmashed into, like, 3.
I'd go for that. Anything to see Kefka kick Sephiroth's ass. Just a single backhand and he's dead.
I couldn't imagine what, like, I don't know, maybe the Final Fantasy IV people would do if they saw Kefka, for example, or what Final Fantasy VIII people would do if they saw fucking, I don't know.
Jack.
Cecil?
Yeah, Jack, I was gonna say.
Cecil would want to kill Kefka right away. I don't think Cecil would tolerate his existence. I'm not even kidding. I think Cecil would be like, why haven't you killed this guy? stand aside. Let me do it. I'm a paladin.
Like what would happen if the Punisher actually got the chance to kill the Joker?
He would do it.
In a
Do it
heartbeat.
fast.
So, I think if Squall met Jecht in that environment, Squall would probably be like, huh, you're a very handsome man. And Jecht would be like, thank you.
Okay, I was gonna say
Cloud.
that's kind of opposite of his own father, because didn't he not like his own dad?
Yeah, because Laguna's a fucking loser.
Was he really? I don't remember that game.
He was a fucking knob. He was always talking about, like, oh, I want to impress the piano girl. I'm gonna talk to her today. His friends are like, go talk to the piano girl, Laguna. And he's like, shut the fuck up, I'm going to. I can't do it. I'm such a fucking pussy.
How did he score with her then?
I don't know. I basically recreated that whole scene in perfectly accurately. Right there. So I don't think he did.
Well, he banged somebody.
He probably raped someone.
He did.
Crossovers and raping!
Yay, more raping discussions. Like, what?
Jesus. Awesome.
I completely lost my train of thought. I hope you're happy.
It's basically 70% of Kingdom Hearts gay fanfiction.
Raping?
Pretty much.
What?
The fact you know this does not surprise me.
Yes, how do you know this?
I'm bored sometimes, okay?
I will admit, I sometimes read fanfiction. Especially ones that talk about couples I won't see together. Anyway, back to the topic! Crossovers. Captain N. The game. They never made it.
Too many licenses to acquire to be able to make that game.
Do you realize how fun that would be, though? Like,
yes.
If you're just this kid with the Nintendo Zapper and stuff, and imagine if they added on to it, like, you actually get the Power Glove, or you get, what else? You could get the Wiimote. And you could, like, pretend you're doing little bows and arrows shit, or...
Wouldn't the Power Glove be a power down? Like it would make you worse when you picked it up, or poison you?
You could land planes properly.
You could land planes properly. This happened with James Rolfe.
Get a plane and use it to crush Jedi.
You could use planes to crush Jedi. What an obscure reference. And we all know it.
Yes, that's kind of sad.
For the 3 listeners we have, there was this one Sailor Moon enemy named Jedi. He tried to telekinetically crush Sailor Moon with 747s. He was an idiot.
Yeah, didn't he get crushed himself?
Yeah, they lured the planes back to him.
Isn't that the episode he died?
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Didn't Queen Beryl say something like,
why the
fuck
Moon,
did that
Mercury?
idiot try to use 747s?
Yeah, he was trying to he lured Sailor Moon, Mercury, and Mars to an airport, got these planes to come out of nowhere, tried to crush them with it. They all lured the planes into Jedi, and
I don't know them.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do, David.
They did
Shut the
Antipode.
fuck up, you totally know this episode.
And then Jedi got killed for his incompetence and crystallized.
And who
Did anyone
replaced
get
him?
my reference?
What was your reference?
Antipode? Mercury
Yep.
and Mars, they did Antipode.
They did do Antipode. They stole it from Chrono Trigger, even though they preceded Chrono Trigger by quite a time.
I don't know, Chrono Trigger did it better.
They renamed
Laugh
that spell
Olympics.
to Antipode Bomb in the remakes, for some reason.
You know what cameo I really liked? Going back to Final Fantasy. I've seen it on YouTube from Final Fantasy 13-2, the battle against Ultros and Typhon.
We've all seen that now. That's a great cameo because Ultros has a voice. And he talks exactly like he would.
Yeah, that's the creepy thing. When I was reading his text and listening to his voice, all I could think of was the Opera House in Final Fantasy VI. And I was like, wow, why is that so scary?
The best part is that he totally called the pretty boy prettier than the girl. And that is funny as shit.
I don't know, Nuji. Silence. Great.
This is the most
We have a
bizarre
slight interruption.
podcast we've ever recorded. This is totally what happens when we don't prepare with a topic.
I got another funny thing that was a bit of a crossover. Laugh Olympics.
Laugh Olympics was a crossover. A hanna-barbera crossover. Surpassed in its epicness only by its inability to be funny.
I'm more intrigued by it because of the team-ups.
Tell us some of the team-ups.
Well, you got your three basic teams. You got the really rottens, who are a lot of obscure bad guys I've never even heard of, save for the Dick Dastardly knockoff and Muttley. They didn't even get Dick Dastardly for real. Then you got the Yogi Yahoolies, which are all the furries of the Hanna-Barbera verse. Yogi Boo Boo, Huckleberry Hound, Quick Draw McGraw, aka El Kabong. And then you got the Scooby Doobies, the only team that have two superheroes on their team.
Did they have Captain Caveman?
They had Captain Caveman and Blue Falcon.
What? Why do they get two superheroes and nobody else gets anyone?
Here. They had two superheroes on their side as well. But this was balanced because they had Scrappy-Doo and the Teen Angels.
Scrappy-Doo was a Mary Sue, man. He was super intelligent. They had him and two superheroes? How did they ever not win?
Actually, they did win some things. I think out of all the times they competed, they won the most, followed by the Yogi Yahoolies.
They get two superheroes. Unfucking real. Did they ever make a game of this?
If they did, it's probably obscure and I never heard of it.
I got nothing.
Yeah, you do. Name something. Pissing me off.
This is another thing that I like to, that me and Richie talked about. It's just like another useless concept. Disney Princess Tier List.
Two fat guys talk games.
This is sort of game terminology.
What about something really ridiculous, like some sort of dance mix-up with racing? So the better dancing, the faster you move your car. I couldn't.
A dance racing game?
I couldn't even say that with a straight face. It's
they do have Typing of the Dead.
There is Typing of the Dead. That's a crossover of mechanics.
You're really stretching now.
I kind of like the idea of a video game where one side is playing one thing while the other's playing other, and they're somehow objectively keeping a similar score.
Oh, I know a game like that. There's Henry Hatsworth. This was for the DS. Henry Hatsworth was basically a platformer game. On the top screen, it was a platformer. You would walk around, you would beat up enemies, and when you defeated enemies, they would fall to the bottom screen and turn to blocks. The bottom screen played like Tetris Attack, where you could line up blocks, get combos, and the more meter you would get meter. The more meter you filled on the bottom, the more damage your skills would do, and you would even get into a super mode if you scored enough meter, which would benefit you on the platforming area, where that's where the core gameplay takes place. It's a mix. It's cool because it combines two different types of game styles into one unique little package.
Actually, I've got an example on top of that as well.
Cool.
Go ahead.
For the DS, another Squaresoft game, The World Ends With You.
Oh yeah, I heard of that one.
That was actually a crossover because there was cameos by a couple of Final Fantasy characters. And just like that game that you were just talking about, your top screen was more of you actually used your buttons and your up, down, left, right, whereas in the bottom, you were using the stylus. Different mechanics, and you helped each other.
You were controlling two different characters, right?
Two different characters and two different mechanics. Worked great. Awesome music too.
And a fun fact, they're going to appear in the latest Kingdom Hearts game too. So characters with you. No, I got nothing.
I'm staring at my screen wide-eyed, wondering why nobody's talking. Oh god.
I'm out of information.
Well, this was an interesting episode. Alright, this has been Carlos and Dave. Two fat guys who talk games. Trust us, there's two of us.
There's four.
And friends.
Yay.
Yay!
Poe and Kiki, thank you for being on this very casual episode of Two Fat Guys Talk Games.
I have fun.
Yay! And now stopping recording in T-minus 74, 73, Woo! 72,
Party down!
1, 0.
Yeah.